Hello, my name is Sharice Battle, and this is my interpersonal communication project with Liberty University, graduate course HSCO 508, Studies in Interpersonal Communication. This interpersonal communication project will discuss what is interpersonal communication, identification of an overarching goal, definition of enlarging a conversation, description of background and behaviorally and influence of conversation, both positively and negatively, potential barriers and how I would deal with them, identify and provide solutions to noise pollution, internal and external, and my plan of action. Next slide. What is interpersonal communication? Stewart 2012 defines interpersonal communication as the type or kind of communication that happens when the people involved talk or listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. Per Stewart, the personal consists of 5 qualities that distinguish people to describe the personal itself. Next slide. The 5 qualities are uniqueness, measurability, responsive, reflect, and addressable. Stewart 2012 states that when communicators give and receive or talk and listen in ways that emphasize their uniqueness, immeasurability, responsiveness, reflectiveness, and addressability, then the communication between them is interpersonal. Next slide. Communication consists of 2 parts, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling is perceiving and listening, whereas exhaling is expressing and disclosing. Next slide. Overarching goal. My overarching goal is to be an effective level 1 listener. The only way to hear and get a clear understanding of what is being spoken is to listen clearly. This allows for better communication, which helps with enlarging a conversation. James 1:19 states that everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak. I find this to be very imperative for our everyday living. In addition, Burley Allen states that when you're an effective listener, you are aware of the power you have to get others to listen to you. This here shows that there's power in listening. Next slide. Level 1 listening. Level 1 listening is empathetic, non-judgmental, and compassionate. And the characteristics include aware and in the present moment, acknowledging and responding, non-distracted, undivided attention to speaker communication, and listening from the heart. Next slide. Enlarging the conversation. Our actions, what we say and do, are reflections of who we are, which helps to shape our relationship with people. Per Stewart 2012, there's a direct link between the quality of your communication and the quality of your life. The above statement is what brings me to my personal definition for enlarging a conversation. Personally, enlarging a conversation is about being an effective and active listener by speaking or responding from a qualitative perspective. This is extremely important for clarity purposes, as well as to become enlarged in the communicator's vision and understanding. Next slide. Background and behavior blend. According to uniquelyu.com, my behavior blend is S/D for what is expected of me, and C/S/D for this is me. C means that I'm cautious, competent, calculating, compliant. S is for steady, stable, serving, and submissive. D is for directing, driven, determined, and doing. This behavior blend also stated in the results that there are more people who like you, but you don't try to be popular. I actually agree with that. Next slide. What is CSD? CSD is I tend to be very passive. I just want to be humble, quiet on my compliant self. I'm seen as an easygoing, rule enforcer type. Difficulties don't faze me. My work ethic is more methodical and caring. I'm more on the reserved side. Not easily pressed. Don't like disharmony or confusion. And my strengths are my peacemaking through knowledge. I agree with this behavior blend 100%. Next slide. Behavior blend and how it has influenced my conversation positively. Positively is seen as a blend of strength, sensitivity, and serious thinking. I feel like I can do anything I put my mind to. My vision is widespread and focused. I have strong leadership skills. I respond best to challenging, steady, and outline programs as opposed to empty appeals. Next slide. My behavior blend and how it has influenced my conversation negatively. I tend to overuse my dominance and competence. Sometimes I'm too easy and people try to take advantage of me. I can be too hard on others. I tend to overanalyze and prepare. Next slide. Potential barriers. The potential barriers are physical and somatic. Physical barriers include being fatigued, low energy, less attentive, and the Tim lag factor is talker will talk 200 words per minute, and the listener can process 300 to 500 words per minute. For the somatic barriers, the own meaningful words which are filtered, the talker uses 500 words which has 20 to 25 meanings, and the meanings are not in words but in people. Next slide. Potential barriers continue. I would deal with these potential barriers by developing an empathetic listening skill mindset. Per Barely Allen, the guidelines for empathetic listening are to be attentive, to be interested in others' needs, to listen from the okay attitude, don't let the other person hook you, be encouraging, offer non-committal acknowledgement, and show brief expressions. Next slide. Noise pollution. Noise pollution is anything that is distracting while engaging in conversation and listening, and there are two types, internal noises and external noises. Next slide. Noise pollution internal is being bothered or distracted by self, biased, non-effective listening. And this is also a part of hearing what you want to hear. The solution here is to shift thought process and ask for clarification. Next slide. Noise pollution external are things that distract the listener's listening, which can be excessively loud noise, uncomfortable. Solution here is to make sure that the atmosphere is comfortable and without distractions. Next slide. Plan of action. My plan of action is to keep in mind the essentials to being an active and effective listener, to be a productive listener, to talk less and listen more, to keep behavior blend at the forefront, to always give full undivided attention, to be a part of the conversation by showing interest, to create goals and follow through with them, to utilize technique and tools such as Dr. Peterson's 2007 Talker Listener Cards. This can help to improve skills for effective listening. Next slide. Final thought. Communication is a very effective tool. It's a part of our everyday lives, which allows us to take in insight and vision in a perspective manner, as well as interchangeably. To listen effectively, one must hear what is being said. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen and view my interpersonal communication project. Best wishes. Next slide.